First Contact Protocols. The Vermilion fleet of the Tarshan Empire cut through the void of space, like predators through dark water. 7 warships, their hulls gleaming with the distinctive crimson-black alloy that had made the Tarshans feared across 3 galactic arms. At the helm of the flagship Dominator, Commander Zulak stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, compound eyes reflecting the starlight. "Commander, we've detected an anomaly at the edge of the Epsilon sector," reported Navigation Officer Kress, her scaled fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "It appears to be a vessel of unknown origin." Zilax's mandibles clicked in irritation. The Epsilon sector was meant to be empty, a buffer zone between Tarshan territory and the unexplored regions where primitive species still fumbled with basic interstellar travel. "Show me," he ordered. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a spacecraft unlike any in the Tarshan database. It was sleek but practical, its hull a matte gray that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the distant starlight. No visible weapons, no external engine ports, and approximately 1/4 the size of the Dominator. "Origin?" Zilax demanded. "Unknown, sir," replied Science Officer Vrel, his thin frame hunched over his station. "But preliminary scans suggest it matches no known empire's design philosophy." Zilax narrowed his eyes. "Life signs?" "None that our sensors can detect, Commander. The vessel appears dormant." Dormant, not destroyed or damaged. Dormant. The distinction was important, and it made Zilax uneasy. In his 3 centuries of commanding Tarshan fleets, he had learned that unexpected discoveries rarely brought good fortune. "Proceed with caution," Zilax ordered. "Bring us to optimal scanning range, but maintain defensive positions. I want a full spectral analysis." The Vermilion fleet moved with precision, surrounding the mysterious vessel at a distance of 50,000 kilometers. Close enough for detailed scans, but far enough to react if the situation turned hostile. "Sir," Vrel called out, his voice tinged with surprise. "I'm detecting writing on the hull. Universal Translator is processing. It's in a language we've never encountered before, but the symbols appear to be simplistic, primitive, even." The view screen zoomed in on a section of the gray hull where white characters were emblazoned. "Prometheus, Earth exploratory vessel." "Earth." Zilax tested the unfamiliar word. "Is that in our database?" "Checking, sir," Vrel responded, his fingers flying across his console. "Yes, but the information is sparse. Earth is a planet in an unremarkable solar system at the edge of the Orion Spur. Species, human. Technology level, early interstellar. They've only achieved faster than light travel within the last century. They're not even recognized by the Galactic Council." Zilax felt a mixture of relief and disappointment. A primitive species vessel, nothing more. Still, the design was curious. Too advanced for a species so new to the stars. "Commence standard scan protocol," he ordered. "Let's see what these humans are doing so far from home." The Dominator's primary scanner hummed to life, sending invisible waves of energy toward the Earth vessel. Data began streaming back almost immediately. "Sir, this is unusual," Vrel said, frowning at his readouts. "The hull composition is unlike anything in our database. It appears to be a carbon-titanium weave, but with properties that don't match our understanding of material science." Zilax moved to stand behind Vrel, peering at the data himself. "Elaborate." "The material seems to be... I don't know how to describe it properly, sir. It's as if the atoms themselves are in multiple states simultaneously. Our scanners can't get consistent readings." "That's impossible," Zilax stated flatly. "Even quantum materials don't behave that way on a macro scale." "I'm aware, sir, but the data doesn't lie." Vrel looked genuinely perplexed. "And there's more. Despite reading no life signs, there's an energy signature at the core of the vessel. It's faint but pulsing, almost like a heartbeat." Zilax's unease deepened. "Armaments?" "None that we can detect, sir. No weapons ports, no missile bays, nothing that matches any weapon profile in our database. A research vessel, then Zilax concluded, though he wasn't entirely convinced. Continue the scan. I want to know what's generating that energy signature. As the scan deepened, something unexpected happened. The Prometheus seemed to shimmer slightly, as if responding to the probing energy. Sir, Tactical Officer Mrev called out sharply. The vessel is. It's changing. On the view screen, the matte gray hull of the Prometheus had indeed changed. Subtle patterns were now visible across its surface. Geometric shapes that seemed to flow and reconfigure. Is it preparing defensive measures? Zilax demanded, his hand moving instinctively to the command console that would bring the fleet to battle readiness. I don't think so, sir, Vrel replied, his voice hushed with fascination. It appears to be communicating. Communicating? With whom? With us. The patterns. They're responding to our scan frequencies. It's as if the ship itself is aware. Zilax had heard enough. Cease scanning immediately. Defensive positions. But it was too late. As the scan touched deeper layers of the Prometheus, the vessel suddenly pulsed with bright blue light. The energy signature that Vrel had described as a heartbeat suddenly spiked, sending a wave of unknown energy washing over the Tarshan fleet. Report. Zilax barked as the lights on the Dominator flickered. Sir, all systems experiencing momentary fluctuations, reported Engineering Officer Tass. Nothing critical, but, sir, I'm detecting unauthorized data transfers. We're being hacked. Zilax was incredulous. No species had successfully breached Tarshan cybersecurity in over a millennium. Not exactly, sir. It's more like our systems are being examined, scanned, just as we scanned them. The view screen suddenly split into multiple feeds, showing the interiors of various sections of the Dominator. Crew quarters, engine rooms, even the command bridge where they now stood. It was as if every security camera on the ship had been accessed simultaneously. They're watching us, Zilax whispered, a feeling of vulnerability washing over him for the first time in his long career. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the phenomenon ceased. The Prometheus returned to its dormant state, the patterns on its hull fading back to uniform gray. Sir, Communications Officer Prell's voice was shaking. We're receiving a transmission from the Earth vessel. That's impossible, Zilax said. You said there were no life signs. There weren't, sir. There still aren't. But we're receiving a transmission nonetheless. Put it through. The bridge speakers crackled with static before a synthetic voice emerged, speaking perfect Tarshan. Vermilion Fleet of the Tarshan Empire. You have initiated contact with Earth vessel Prometheus through unauthorized scanning protocols. Your species classification and technological capabilities have been assessed. We are now awake. A chill ran down Zilax's spine. What do you mean, we are now awake? Identify yourself. There was a pause before the voice responded. Initiating visual communication. The view screen changed again, now showing the interior of what appeared to be the Prometheus's command center. It was smaller than the Dominator's bridge, more compact and utilitarian. And there, standing in the center, was a being unlike any Zilax had encountered. She stood on two legs, with only two arms, skin a pale pinkish hue, and a covering of dark fibers on the top of her head. A human. She wore a form-fitting uniform of navy blue with silver accents and a small patch on her chest that matched the writing on the Prometheus's hull. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth exploratory vessel Prometheus, she said, her alien face-forming expressions Zilax couldn't fully interpret. You have awakened our ship and crew from deep space protocol. State your intentions. Zilax found himself momentarily speechless. The human appeared so fragile, so physically unimposing compared to a Tarshan. Yet there was something in her steady gaze that gave him pause. I am Commander Zilax of the Tarshan Empire's Vermilion Fleet, he finally responded, drawing himself up to his full height. Your vessel has trespassed into Tarshan space. Explain your presence here. Captain Chen's expression didn't change. We are on a peaceful exploratory mission mapping this sector. Our records show this region as unclaimed space, Commander. If we have inadvertently crossed into your territory, we apologize for the misunderstanding. Unclaimed. Zelax's mandibles clicked in agitation. The Epsilon sector has been Tarshan territory for 300 cycles. Our stellar cartography doesn't reflect that claim, Chen replied calmly. Nevertheless, we mean no intrusion. We will adjust our course immediately. Zelax wasn't satisfied. Something still felt wrong about the situation. You showed no life signs. How is this possible? Deep space protocol, Chen explained. Our crew was in cryostasis, and our ship in low-power mode to conserve resources during our journey. Your scan triggered the emergency awakening protocol, and the energy signature we detected. The whole material that defies our analysis. A flicker of something. Caution, perhaps, crossed Chen's face. Proprietary Earth technology, Commander. I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics. Before Zelax could respond, Vrel spoke up from his station. Sir, I'm detecting power surges throughout the human vessel. Multiple systems coming online. On the view screen, Chen glanced away, seemingly responding to information from her own crew. When she looked back at Zelax, her expression had hardened. Commander, I must inform you that your deep scan has triggered several of our defensive protocols. We're working to deactivate them, but I must ask that you refrain from further scanning activities. Defensive protocols. You claim to be an exploratory vessel, Zelax challenged. Even explorers need protection in unknown space, Chen replied evenly. Please maintain your distance while we... She was interrupted by a sudden flash of blue light that emanated from the Prometheus once again, stronger this time. Captain Chen, explain this immediately, Zelax demanded. But Chen looked as concerned as he felt. That wasn't intentional, Commander. Your scan has created some kind of resonance with our quantum drive. We're attempting to stabilize. The transmission cut off abruptly. Sir, Tactical Officer Mrev called out, alarm evident in his voice. Multiple anomalies detected across the fleet. Ships 2 and 4 are reporting instrument failures. Ship 3 has lost propulsion. What kind of vessel is this? Zelax muttered, watching as another pulse of blue energy emerged from the Prometheus. Sir, Vrel's voice had taken on a tone of awe and fear. I'm detecting movement inside the vessel. Life signs are appearing everywhere, hundreds of them. They're waking up, Zelax realized. The entire crew is waking up. As if in confirmation, the Prometheus began to transform. Sections of the hull reconfigured, revealing previously hidden structures. Lights activated along its length, and what Zelax had initially taken for a sleek, simple vessel now revealed itself to be something far more complex. Sir, Communications Officer Prell interjected. We're receiving thousands of transmissions suddenly, all from the Earth vessel. They're talking to each other, sir. Internal communications. Should I translate? Do it, Zelax ordered, his eyes fixed on the transforming ship before them. The bridge was suddenly filled with a cacophony of voices, speaking a language none of them understood. But the translation software worked quickly, converting snippets into Tarshan. Quantum stabilizers failing. Wake the specialists in Section C. Contact protocols. People, this isn't a drill. Defensive grid at 30% and rising. And then, cutting through the chaos, Captain Chen's voice. This is not a hostile encounter. Repeat, this is not hostile. Diplomatic team to the bridge immediately. And someone get those quantum stabilizers under control before we have an incident. Zelax felt the weight of command heavy upon him. What had begun as a routine patrol had become a first contact situation with an unknown species possessing technology that somehow confounded Tarshan science. Vril, he said quietly, what exactly is a quantum stabilizer? The science officer shook his head. Unknown, sir. but based on the energy readings we're getting, I think it might be related to how they achieve faster than light travel, and if it's destabilizing because of our scan." He didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone on the bridge understood the implications of a destabilized FTL drive. "Open a channel," Zulax ordered. "Captain Chen, this is Commander Zulax. We are detecting dangerous energy fluctuations from your vessel. If you require assistance, the Tarshan Empire is prepared to offer it." There was a long pause before Chen's voice responded, audio only. "Thank you, Commander. But I must ask your fleet to fall back to a distance of at least 1,000,000 kilometers immediately. What's happening now is complicated. We don't want your ships caught in the quantum wake if we can't stabilize." Zulax hesitated. Retreating could be seen as a sign of weakness, but if the human vessel was indeed on the verge of some catastrophic drive failure. "Sir," Vrel interrupted his thoughts, "the quantum readings are unlike anything I've ever seen. It's as if the space around the Prometheus is beginning to fold." On the view screen, the space around the Earth vessel did indeed appear to be distorting, light bending in ways that defied normal physics. "Fleet, fall back to safe distance," Zulax commanded. "Captain Chen, we will comply, but I expect a full explanation once your situation is stabilized." "Understood, Commander," Chen replied, her voice strained. "And I apologize for what's about to happen. Your scan triggered something we didn't anticipate." Before Zulax could demand clarification, the Prometheus pulsed one final time and disappeared in a flash of blue light that momentarily blinded everyone on the bridge. When their vision cleared, the space where the Earth vessel had been was empty. "Where did they go?" Zulax demanded. "Track them." "Sir," Vrel responded, his voice barely audible. "They're behind us." Zulax whirled around, staring at the view screen in disbelief. There, impossibly, was the Prometheus, now fully awakened, its hull gleaming with power, positioned directly behind the Tarshan fleet. "How?" he began, but words failed him. The communication system crackled again, and Captain Chen's voice filled the bridge. "Commander Zulax, I believe we need to have a conversation about the true capabilities of humanity." The reckoning. Commander Zulax stood rigid on the bridge of the Dominator, his 4 arms tensed as he stared at the view screen. The human vessel Prometheus hovered behind his fleet, its position impossible by all laws of physics the Tarshans understood. No ship could move that distance instantaneously, not without leaving some trace of its passage. "Open a channel," he ordered, his voice low and controlled despite the turmoil in his mind. Captain Chen's face appeared on screen once more, her expression serious but composed. Behind her, Zulax could see other humans moving with purpose, their actions coordinated and calm despite what must have been a crisis situation. "Commander," Chen acknowledged with a slight nod. "I understand you have questions." "That would be an understatement, Captain," Zulax replied. "Your vessel just performed a maneuver that violates several fundamental laws of physics. I demand an explanation." Chen's lips curved slightly, a human expression Zulax couldn't interpret. "Not a violation, Commander. Just a different understanding of those laws. What you witnessed was a quantum displacement event, a side effect of your scan interacting with our drive systems." Science Officer Vrel moved closer to Zulax, speaking quietly. "Sir, if they can manipulate quantum states at a macro level, that would explain the inconsistent readings from their hull material." Zulax nodded slightly, his compound eyes never leaving Chen's face. "This technology, it is far beyond what our intelligence suggests your species should possess. We found it advantageous to downplay certain aspects of our technological progress." Chen responded carefully. "The galaxy is full of empires that might view rapid advancement as a threat." The implied criticism wasn't lost on Zulax. The Tarshan Empire had a long history of subjugating lesser species who might one day pose a challenge to their dominance. "You're suggesting you deliberately appear more primitive than you are," Zulax stated. "I'm suggesting that humanity has learned to be cautious, Chen corrected. Now, if you'll grant us permission to continue our exploratory mission, we'll be on our way. We've stabilized our systems and shouldn't pose any further disruption to your fleet. Tactical Officer Mrev leaned toward Zelax. Sir, we should detain them for further study. This technology could give the Empire a significant advantage. It was a logical suggestion. Tarshan military doctrine was clear. Any potential advantage should be seized and exploited. And yet, something about the situation made Zelax hesitate. Your quantum technology, he said finally. How does it function? Chen's expression revealed nothing. I'm afraid that's classified information, Commander. As I said, we're simply on an exploratory mission. We have no hostile intentions toward the Tarshan Empire. Then you won't object to a more thorough inspection, Zelax countered. A delegation from my ship will board yours to verify your claims. The atmosphere on the Prometheus's bridge visibly tensed. Humans in the background exchanged glances, and one moved quickly to Chen's side, whispering something in her ear. That won't be possible, Commander, Chen replied, her tone hardening slightly. Our vessel contains proprietary technology that we're not authorized to share with any foreign power. I must respectfully decline your request. Zelax had expected this response. Then you leave me no choice, Captain. By the authority vested in me by the Tarshan Empire, I declare your vessel detained for trespassing in sovereign space. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. For a moment, Chen simply stared at him, her alien face unreadable to Tarshan sensibilities. Then she sighed, a strange, soft sound that the translators didn't quite capture. Commander Zelax, she said, her voice now carrying a weight it hadn't before, I strongly advise against this course of action. We have no desire for conflict with the Tarshan Empire. If our presence here violates your territorial claims, we will gladly withdraw. But we cannot and will not submit to boarding. Zelax felt his patience wearing thin. You are in no position to refuse, Captain. Your vessel, while impressively mobile, is clearly outmatched by 7 Tarshan warships. A new human appeared beside Chen, taller, with darker skin and a bearing that suggested authority. Commander Zelax, I am Dr. Elijah Washington, diplomatic officer of the Prometheus. Perhaps we can reach a compromise that satisfies both parties without resorting to threats. Zelax clicked his mandibles in irritation. There is no compromise in Tarshan law, Dr. Washington. The captain has already admitted you possess technology that your species should not have. This makes you a potential threat, and threats to the Empire are investigated thoroughly. Washington nodded slowly. I understand your position, Commander, but there's something you should know before you make your final decision. He glanced at Chen, who gave him a subtle nod. The quantum displacement you witnessed was not an offensive capability. It's a fundamental aspect of how our ship exists in space-time, and it was only partially activated by your scan. Explain, Zelax demanded. Your scan triggered an emergency response in our quantum systems, Washington continued, but only at approximately 7% capacity. At full capacity, well, the implications would be significantly more profound. Vrel spoke up from his station. Sir, I'm detecting energy buildups throughout the human vessel. Whatever systems they're talking about, they appear to be powering them up now. On the view screen, Washington continued, we're preparing a small demonstration, Commander. A non-destructive one, I assure you. With your permission. Before Zelax could respond, the Prometheus pulsed once more with blue light, gentler this time, more controlled. And suddenly, impossibly, there were 2 Prometheuses visible on the view screen. What is this trickery? Zelax demanded. No trickery, Commander, Chen replied, now visible on both vessels simultaneously. This is a quantum echo, a partial projection of our ship into a parallel probability state. Not quite as solid as our primary vessel, but real enough to register on your sensors. Indeed, Vrel confirmed as much. Sir, our sensors show 2 vessels, though the second reads as less substantial somehow. The energy patterns are identical, just diluted. This is merely a fraction of what happens when our quantum systems fully engage, Washington explained. We exist simultaneously across multiple states of reality. It makes us difficult to target conventionally. The demonstration was impressive, Zilax had to admit. But the Tarshan Empire had faced impressive technologies before and subjugated them all. A clever defense mechanism, but not enough to deter the Vermilion fleet. Power down your systems now, or we will open fire. Chen and Washington exchanged looks. Very well, Commander, Chen said finally. You leave us no choice, initiating full quantum defensive protocols. The effects were immediate and startling. The blue glow surrounding the Prometheus intensified, pulsing in complex patterns. The quantum echo multiplied, not just once, but again and again until the view screen showed dozens, then hundreds of identical vessels, each slightly less distinct than the last, forming a spherical cloud around the Tarshan fleet. What is happening? Zilax demanded, his composure finally cracking. Quantum superposition at a macroscopic scale, Chen explained, her voice now coming from everywhere at once. Each echo exists in a slightly different probability state. Some are more real than others in this particular slice of reality, but all of them are us. Tactical Officer Mreb's voice shook slightly. Sir, targeting systems cannot lock onto the original vessel. There are too many echoes creating interference. Then target them all, Zilax commanded. The Vermilion fleet's weapons powered up, plasma cannons, particle beams, and graviton torpedoes all preparing to fire simultaneously. But before they could launch their assault, something even more extraordinary happened. The space between the echoing Prometheuses began to shimmer and distort. Colors that had no name in the Tarshan language rippled through the void. Sensors across the fleet began reporting impossible readings, gravitational anomalies, temporal fluctuations, radiation of unknown types. Sir, Vrel called out, real fear in his voice now. The human vessel isn't just creating copies, it's altering the fundamental properties of space in this region. On the view screen, Captain Chen's expression was one of genuine regret. This is what happens when our quantum systems detect a threat, Commander. We don't just move through space, we redefine it locally. Your weapons cannot target what exists in multiple states simultaneously. Your sensors cannot accurately read what refuses to commit to a single reality. Zilax stared at the swirling maelstrom of quantum echoes, realizing the tactical impossibility of the situation. How could you fight an enemy that existed everywhere and nowhere at once? What are you? He asked finally. Washington stepped forward again. We are humans, Commander. Just humans who took a different path in our technological development. While most species focus on mastering the physical world, we chose to explore the boundaries between realities. What you're seeing is the result of that choice. Sir, Communications Officer Prell interrupted. Ships 2 and 5 are reporting system failures across all weapons platforms. Something about the quantum field is interfering with targeting computers and power distribution. Chen's voice softened. We didn't want this confrontation, Commander. We still don't. Power down your weapons, and we can end this peacefully. Zilax found himself at a crossroads unlike any in his long career. The Tarshan way was clear. Fight to the last. Never show weakness, never retreat. But what use were such principles against an enemy that bent reality itself? If I order my fleet to stand down, he said slowly, what guarantee do I have that you won't use this quantum technology against us? The same guarantee you had before you scanned us, Chen replied simply. Our word as explorers, not conquerors. We have no interest in Tarshan territory or resources. We simply wish to learn and understand. And if I refuse? Chen didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked to someone off-screen, nodded, and then turned back to Zilax. Then I'm afraid things will get considerably more complicated. Our quantum field is already affecting your ship systems. Given time, Those effects will cascade. I cannot predict exactly what will happen, but I can tell you this. No Tarshan vessel will leave this encounter functional if we're forced to fully defend ourselves. As if to emphasize her point, alarms began blaring across the Dominator's bridge. "Sir," Engineering Officer Task called out, "primary power conduits are fluctuating wildly. The quantum field is somehow affecting the flow of energy through our systems." Zelax closed his inner eyelids briefly, a Tarshan gesture of deep contemplation. When he opened them again, his decision was made. "Fleet, stand down weapons," he ordered. "Power all systems to minimal levels." The bridge crew stared at him in shocked silence. Never in living memory had a Vermilion fleet commander ordered a full stand-down. "Sir," Mrev questioned hesitantly. "Do it," Zelax repeated firmly. "This is not a battle we can win through conventional means." As the Tarshan ships powered down their weapons systems, the quantum maelstrom around them began to subside. The countless echoes of the Prometheus gradually faded, collapsing inward until only the original vessel remained, its hull still shimmering with faint blue energy. "A wise decision, Commander," Chen said, relief evident in her voice. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet, Captain," Zelax replied. "This incident will be reported to the High Command. They may not share my pragmatism. Then perhaps we should take this opportunity to establish a more formal understanding," Washington suggested. "Humanity has avoided contact with the Tarshan Empire thus far, but clearly that strategy has reached its limit. We would be open to diplomatic discussions." The suggestion was unprecedented. The Tarshan Empire didn't negotiate with lesser species, it dominated them. And yet, could a species with such technology truly be considered lesser? "I am not authorized to enter into diplomatic relations," Zelax said carefully. "But I can arrange for your proposal to be heard by those who are." Chen nodded. "That's all we ask. A chance for understanding rather than conflict." "There is one condition," Zelax added. "I must understand what we're dealing with, not the technical details of your quantum technology. I accept that you won't share those, but what humanity truly is, your capabilities, your intentions in this sector of space." Chen considered this request, then nodded again. "Fair enough. With your permission, we'll transmit a data packet containing non-classified information about Earth and humanity, our history, our basic principles, our reasons for exploration. Would that satisfy your condition?" "It would be a start," Zelax agreed. As the transmission began, Vrel moved to Zelax's side. "Sir, forgive me, but this is unprecedented. The High Command will question your decision not to engage." "Let them question," Zelax replied quietly. "I have commanded fleets for 3 centuries, Vrel. I know when I'm outmatched. Besides, there is more to strength than firepower." On his personal display, Zelax was already reviewing the data from Earth. What he saw both fascinated and disturbed him. Humans were indeed a young species by galactic standards, barely 1,000 years into their interstellar phase. Yet their path had been unique. Where most species followed predictable technological progressions, humans had made sporadic, intuitive leaps. Their discovery of quantum uncertainty as a resource rather than an obstacle had come early in their development, allowing them to pursue technological avenues that most species never even considered. While the Tarshans had mastered conventional physics to build their empire, humans had sidestepped those limitations entirely. Most concerning of all, Earth was not a military power, at least not in the conventional sense. They maintained a small fleet of vessels like the Prometheus, focused on exploration and scientific discovery. No vast armadas, no conquered worlds, no subject species. Just an expanding sphere of knowledge and a technology that made them virtually untouchable. "Sir," Prel interrupted his thoughts. "Captain Chen is requesting to speak with you again." Zelax nodded, and Chen's face appeared once more on his personal display rather than the main view screen. A more intimate conversation. "Commander," she began, I want to thank you personally for your restraint today. It can't have been an easy decision. It wasn't, Zilax admitted, but it was the correct one. Your technology. It changes everything we thought we understood about the balance of power in this sector. That wasn't our intention, Chen said earnestly. Humanity doesn't seek power over others. We seek knowledge, understanding. The quantum technology that so concerns you, we developed it primarily for exploration, not warfare. Yet it makes you formidable opponents nonetheless. Chen's expression softened slightly. Or valuable allies, Commander. The universe is vast, and much of it remains unknown, even to advanced species like yours. There is room enough for both the Tarshian Empire and humanity to pursue their destinies without conflict. Perhaps, Zilax allowed, though not all in the Empire will share that view. Then they will learn, as you did today, that old perspectives must sometimes yield to new realities. Chen replied, "We hope it doesn't come to that. We would much prefer peaceful coexistence." Zilax studied the human captain's face, wishing he could better read the expressions of this strange species. "You could have destroyed my fleet when we threatened you. Why didn't you?" "Because that's not who we are," Chen said simply. "Humanity learned long ago that power without restraint leads only to destruction. We developed our quantum technology not to dominate, but to ensure our survival in a universe filled with older, more established species. We want to be left in peace to explore and learn, not to conquer or destroy." Something in her words resonated with Zilax in a way he hadn't expected. The Tarshian Empire had risen through conquest, yes, but its greatest achievements had come through the knowledge and culture it had accumulated over millennia. Perhaps there was something to be learned from these humans and their unusual approach to existence. "I will convey your message to the High Command," he said finally, "along with my recommendation that we pursue diplomatic relations rather than conflict. I cannot guarantee they will listen, but my voice carries weight." "That's all we can ask," Chen replied. "And Commander, should you ever wish to learn more about humanity, you would be welcome aboard the Prometheus as an honored guest, not a hostile boarding party." The offer surprised him. "I may take you up on that someday, Captain." With a final nod, Chen ended the transmission. Zilax turned back to the main view screen, where the Prometheus still hovered, its quantum systems now dormant, but clearly no less potent for their quiescence. "Your orders, sir?" Mrev asked. "Resume our patrol," Zilax decided, "but give the human vessel a wide berth. They have permission to continue their exploratory activities in this sector, provided they share their findings with us." As the Vermilion fleet slowly moved away from the Prometheus, Zilax reflected,